Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. It's November 10th. It's just a few seconds after 7 p.m. We're going to begin our meetings as we typically do, and that's with a prayer and a pledge. Tonight, leading our prayer is Pastor Reed Wilkerson. He's the pastor at Hendersonville Free Will Baptist Church. Pastor Wilkerson, appreciate you very much. Appreciate very much what your church does. And I know you're reaching out to the community a little bit here in a couple days. So can you tell us a little bit about that and then follow in prayer?
Yes, we are going to have a service this coming Sunday morning on the 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning where we are going to honor our veterans. And so we invite each of you to come out and celebrate our veterans with us. We're going to honor them, give them a little token of our appreciation to them and all that they do. And then we're going to serve a meal following the morning service. So you have extended an invitation to me to be here with you tonight, and so I want to extend an invitation to you to be there and celebrate them along with us this coming Sunday.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Our Father who art in heaven, Lord, we come before you in awe tonight, knowing that you and you alone are worthy of our worship and our praise. Father, heaven is your throne, the earth is your footstool. You are the author and giver of life. Lord, you have formed me with your hands. You knew me in my mother's womb. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. When I come to you and confess my sins, you are faithful and just to forgive me and to cleanse me from unrighteousness. So, Lord, I come before you tonight asking for your forgiveness. And, Lord, may I be quick and faithful to extend that same forgiveness to others. Lord, you have admonished us in your word to pray for our officials. So we bring them before you tonight, Lord, knowing that you have ordained them as servants in your hand. So, Lord, we ask that you watch over them, watch over their families. Lord, guide them, protect them, bless them. Lord, I pray that you would be with them tonight in all that is done here. Lord, you have told us in your word, anyone who needs wisdom to ask of you. So we come before you tonight asking for wisdom, Lord. Asking that all that is done here be glorifying for you, Lord. And I know as they seek to do what is best in this community, Lord, I pray that they would seek your will because we know your will is good and perfect. Lord, I pray that as the different agendas are brought before them tonight, Lord, that you would be pleased in all that is done and that, Lord, you would give them an assurance as to their decisions that they will do what is best and what is beneficial to the people who live and work in this community. Lord, again, we just praise you for who you are. Lord, for your Son who purchased our salvation, for your guidance and direction here tonight. And we thank you, Lord, for all that you've done and for who you are. In the name of your precious Son, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Again, that's Pastor Reed Wilkerson. Appreciate what you do for us and what your church does for the community. Thank you all so much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You got everybody? Everybody? Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept our agenda. We have a motion from Alderman Hayes and a second from Alderman Peterson. Alderman Brown. Hold on here. There we go. Go ahead.
Resolution 2022-47 was discussed and passed in general committee tonight. So it's on our BOMA agenda, so I'd like to make that part of our agenda, please.
2022-47?
2022-47, yes.
Okay.
Number 10.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to take that straight to the board since it's an item that has to be considered by the board. Appreciate y'all considering it tonight. Do we need a public safety committee report since public safety did not meet? Should we remove that, Alderman Petrelli? I'm sorry, Chairman Petrelli.
No, I just have some closing remarks at the end of the meeting. That's all. Just a thank you.
So do you want to do that as public safety report?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on the acceptance of the agenda? All those in favor of the agenda as provided to you, please signify by pressing your green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes 13-0. Thank you all. Next, we have presentations, which we have none. We have no public hearings. Now we're on to the minutes. I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the October 25th, 2022 minutes as they were provided to you. Thank you, Alderman Waters. Alderman Peterson, any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes as they were provided to you, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. Missing somebody. There we go. That passes 12-1 with one abstention. Abstention is Alderman Phillips. Thank you all. Now we have citizen comments. We have one person signed up for citizen comments. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per individual, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with different views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. Robert Little of Raindrop, I think it is.
Thank you, Board, Aldermans. Tonight I want to talk about bullying. Most people think of bullying in school, but there is a more powerful and mean type of bully. What I'm talking about is when a corporation starts bullying the public. The bully I'm talking about is Volunteer Bank, especially the bank on the north side of town, New Shackle, North Vietnam Highway. This bully wants to build a private road from the bank to the lot they purchased in 2007 on the corner of New Shackle, Creekwood, and Glenbrook Shopping Center. On that corner there was a house when they purchased the lot, but then Volunteer Bank tore down the house, and this lot has been vacant since that time. Volunteer Bank wants to build this road before TDOT widens New Shackle Road. That's why we're calling them a bully. There are many businesses along New Shackle that deal with the traffic. I do not see them asking for a special road. This is just a problem they have to take care of consideration when you build on New Shackle Road. So basically the bully road will almost be at the intersection there. Bank says they'll have 180 feet of road frontage on Creekwood, but in reality they only have 125 feet. This is new math and what they're trying to do. Also, Volunteer Banks, when building an office building on the north side of the building, adding more traffic to that area. New Shackle is a major road from Vietnam Highway to Long Hollow Pike, and it's going to get worse until the city looks at a complete picture of the area. Another problem is the city's not looking out for this area of town by not pushing and widening New Shackle Island Road to Long Hollow Pike. The city has even contacted TDOT about this. This is also why stoplight at New Shackle and Stop 30 is not part of the new traffic program. This intersection is within the city limits. I just handed out an aerial view of the area. I hope the board will ask the correct questions to why they want to build a private road just for them, instead of letting TDOT widen New Shack, what should be done. This new road is now in the hands of the planning office, which I found out that it's going to be extended until January now because they keep pushing it all back. Volunteer Bank could not get their petition through in November because all the people from the Creekwood petitioned the board. So I just asked the board to look into this property correctly. And why hasn't TDOT been contacted widening New Shackle instead of doing a private road just for a bank? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Next on the agenda, we have a consent agenda. There are 4 items on there. I don't see anybody wishing to discuss those. We have second and final reading of ordinance 2022-21, second and final reading of ordinance 2022-28, second and final reading of ordinance 2022-29, and second and final reading of ordinance 2022-30. All of these have been considered on first reading earlier, and I'll entertain a motion to approve those 4. I have a motion from Alderman Petrelli, a second from Alderman Waters. All those in favor of approving the 4 items on the consent agenda, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. It passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on ordinance and resolutions. Second and final reading, ordinance 2022-27. This is an ordinance amending the comprehensive classification and compensation plan of the city and appropriating funds. Alderman Brown. We have a motion from Alderman Brown.
Second.
And a second from Alderman Petrelli. Alderman Brown, anything?
No, sir.
Appreciate that. All those in favor of second and final reading of ordinance 2022-27, please press your green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on to first reading of ordinance 2022-31. This is an ordinance accepting a donation and appropriating funds for a bicycle pump repair station. Alderman Brown. We have a motion from Alderman Brown and a second from Alderman Hayes. Any discussion? All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2022-31, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to first reading of ordinance 2022-32. This is an ordinance appropriating funds for a new pumper truck for the city of Hendersonville. Alderman Petrelli.
So moved.
I have a motion from Alderman Petrelli, a second from Alderman Edwards. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me first say tonight that in my almost 12 years of being on this board, I've always and will continue to always support our first responders, which is the fire department and our police department. No questions about that. They are our #1 protectors for this city. We owe them the highest degree of protection in any way they desire. I'm also excited about the new fire hall, #7, coming towards 6, near Knox Dawes and Burris Elementary School. In saying all this, I still have concerns about how this ordinance was presented to the board. As we discussed in our last meeting, there were so many questions, not about the purchase of the equipment, but about the timing when this board received this ordinance. It was received before our last BOMA meeting on October the 25th. It was not on our agenda. It came to us as an amendment to the agenda and presented to us by our Public Safety Committee Chairman. Now, some may say, what difference does it make? What does time have to do with it? Well, that's not the way we do business, and that's not how we operate on this board. The board understands we have 2 readings on any ordinance, and there's a 2-week period between the 2 readings. Yes, any member on this board, they have the right, and they can ask to amend any agenda that they wish. Let me refer to you to the ordinance 2022-32. I'm not going to read the whole ordinance, just the part I think is very important. The mayor is authorized to enter into a purchase agreement for this fire apparatus before November the 1st, 2022, with the second agreement being expressly contingent on passage of this ordinance on second reading no later than November the 10th, 2022. On passage of this ordinance on second reading no later than November the 10th. Now here it is, November the 10th. We've just having the first reading on this ordinance. Again, all we had back in October was a discussion. We didn't vote, we had a discussion. Let me remind you, as I read the staff report, if purchased prior to November the 1st, 2022, the cost would be $7,663,000. And if purchased after November the 1st, the cost would increase 7%, which would be $819,000. The question, $57,000 is what we could have saved if this had been brought at proper time. Why, in God's name, did we wait to the very last minute on October the 25th to bring this before the board when the public safety had plenty of time, 2 or 3 months, to work with the fire department and bring this before Bowman? Mr. Chairman, on the 29th of this month, we'll have the honor of swearing in 5 new board members. Some of them are here tonight. God bless you for your job, for your work. We also could be the last night that some of these on the board will be leaving. So answer this question. What's the rush? What's the rush? We got 5 new ones coming on. We got 5 leaving. If we're going to have 5 new board members, they need to be involved. They need to review this ordinance. They need to be making a decision and voice their concerns. They need to vote on this ordinance. It's not fair and it's not ethical to have a vote of this magnitude for our city without our new elected members having a voice on this ordinance. It's embarrassing. Again, there's no reason to rush this ordinance. We've already lost $57,000. Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion to defer this for 60 days. I'll ask the new Public Safety Committee, whoever that may be, to review this ordinance and then bring it back to the board. There's nothing we can do about the 7% increase that I just mentioned. It's too late. November 1st is gone. Again, my motion is to defer this ordinance for 60 days and have the new public committee bring it back to the board. Mr. Chairman, that's my motion, and I so move.
Thank you, Alderman Waters. We have a motion to defer this for 60 days. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second from Alderman Dixon.
One comment
Go ahead.
that this is part of our mid-year review. That's our process.
Okay.
And that should happen in January.
Alderman Waters, you want to change your motion so that it's part of our mid-year review instead of deferring
I'm
it for
sorry, I
60?
didn't hear the,
Do you want to?
Mid-year review that we're going to do in January of our budget. We revise our budget every year in January. That's where this discussion should.
so that'd be more than 60 days.
We don't really. It'll probably be approximately 60 days.
Okay,
So you're okay with changing your motion to that?
Yes, sir.
Make it part of the mid-year review of our budget?
thank you.
Okay, and Alderman Dixon, you're okay with that, obviously?
Yes.
Okay, so let's discuss the motion to defer this. Alderman Petrelli, on the motion to defer or on the motion in general?
And the motion in general.
Okay, we're going to go Alderman Robertson on the motion in general? Or on the motion to defer?
Yes. Excuse me. I do like the amendment to move it to the mid-year review budget, and I have some comments. This will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's no consultation between the aldermen in Ward 6 prior to this. But I'm reminded of a story I heard in church a couple of weeks ago of NFL legend Barry Sanders. He was a great football player, a running back, which I think may have been one of the best running backs in the history of football. After a game, a reporter came up. Barry Sanders had just run 3 touchdowns and ran for over 200 yards, and asked Barry, he said, "Barry, how in the world, what do you attribute your success to?" He said, "Well, I have an innate ability when I'm handed the ball, I look up and I can see the whole field, and I know where to run." Well, the mid-year budget review was proposed by the staff last year to give this board and the public the opportunity to get a financial lay of the land, or in other words, to see the whole field. It puts a certain amount of discipline and prudence in the budget process. The review examines mid-year budget reviews and expenditures and gives this board a comprehensive review, an overview of the city's financial status. This review gives BOMA relevant and current data when making decisions. It prevents this board from making financial decisions in a vacuum without context. LBJ once said, "A man's judgment is only as good as his information." This review also gives the board the ability to evaluate the most pressing needs of the city departments, other departments, if budget headroom exists. I believe that abandoning this process and making this kind of expenditure outside the review of a mid-year budget process would set, in my opinion, a bad precedent and could lead to unintended consequences. I support continuing the mid-year budget approach as a important, disciplined, and prudent budget-making principle. So I believe by moving forward on Mr. Waters' motion to look at it at the mid-year budget review is good public policy. And I'm happy to support it because I, like Barry Sanders, want to see the whole field before I make such a decision. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Collins.
I have a question for Mr. Eckenroth. I know that we have discussed having a schedule for asset replacement, particularly for police and fire. Will that schedule be presented to us as a part of the mid-year budget review?
It would be my intention to present that probably before mid-year budget review. We're already working on it. Fire's pretty much wrapped up with theirs, and police is getting theirs together. Police has a lot of smaller vehicles, so the amount of vehicles that police has is substantial, but my goal will be to have that to BOMA before mid-year review, or at least to a committee.
And so whatever is suggested in that schedule would be incorporated in the staff's recommendations for the mid-year budget review, I would assume.
It could be. We're going to put the highest priorities first based on the cash that's available.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we get around to February, we'll have 5 months of revenue where we can look back and see if, what our budget's looking like. Do we have extra money? Do we not have extra money? And at that point, I think, the mid-year budget review is, the budget is from the mayor, so he would set the priorities on that. Obviously, staff would give all the information. But we would have the context to see if that could be a priority based on revenues that have come in and expenses that we've had throughout the year. But absolutely, if we can make it a part of, then great.
Okay. I'm just wondering if, because when we do our mid-year budget review, that is one ordinance with all of those potential expenses that comes forward. So then we would have that ordinance and this one to evaluate, or should we just, well,
We could, I think the motion on the floor is that we'd incorporate this ordinance in the mid-year. Somebody else could bring up an ordinance
oh,
that's
so,
separate.
okay, it's not
Yeah.
deferring this one until the mid-year, it's just,
That's the motion I understand, is
Bring-
incorporating this ordinance into the mid-year budget review.
okay.
Thank you, Alderman Collins. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'm going to talk to the deferral, but I want to clarify something with our fire chief, with Scotty. Scotty, Chief Bush, I understand we've missed the savings of $56,000, whether we take action tonight or whether we take action, or not we, but the new board takes
Correct.
action during the mid-year budget review, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the timeline? Have we lost on that as
You
well?
just added another year to it because we didn't get it ordered before November the 1st.
So
So
November,
instead of 24 months, it's going to take 30 to 36 to get it and have it here and ready for use.
so we've missed that deadline as well, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so whether or not we take action tonight, it doesn't really matter.
Correct.
Because if it's just going to add maybe 60 days additional to the 30 or 36 month timeline.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Only other person in the queue is Alderman Petrelli. Do you want to speak on the motion to defer?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, a couple of things. As explained at the last meeting, since Alderman Waters keeps bringing up, why wasn't this brought up sooner? We had a member of that committee that often did not come to those meetings, and we did not have a quorum at a previous meeting. This came up at our last public safety meeting because of the concern on the age of the truck, on the apparatus. And like I said 4 weeks ago, like I said 2 weeks ago, I would not be doing my due diligence as chairman to not bring this forward to the board. That's my due diligence. That's my duty as the chairman, regardless that I found out about it that day, last year, 2 years ago. That was my due diligence. And there's nothing, quote unquote, unethical about that due diligence, which is the word that you use. 2 weeks ago, I didn't ramrod this down this board's throat. I stepped back and I said, let's have a discussion about it. And I think everybody up here is now educated as to what the needs are, what the plan is for apparatus replacement, whether in police or fire or both. So I'm excited to hear that that will be coming down the pipeline, something in a more regular fashion. When we talk about unexpected money made out of the regular budget cycle year, I mean, to the top of my head, I wrote it all down. We spent $300,000 additional on paving outside of a budget cycle. On the day that we voted for our budget this year, literally, we voted on the budget. And not 2 steps after that, we moved $100 and something thousand to a different department after we just voted and agreed on the budget. So to say that this is an unusual activity is just plain false. I will say that this is a lot of money and that I'm a proponent of the new folks coming on board taking a look at this. Clearly, we've missed the deadline. Had we got it on the agenda in a more timely fashion, maybe this would go through, but I still doubt that. But at the very least, my duty as chairman, you all have been educated as to what the need is on this apparatus. I always call it a truck. It's a 22-year-old piece of apparatus, and it's going to be 25, maybe 26 years old if it lasts that long. So I appreciate you all considering this. And you have to remember, public safety in any city, state, or country is number one. There's nothing but chaos without it. Thank you.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. I can't support this, amendment. And the reason is, this is a first reading. How often have we voted on things on the first reading, knowing that we'll get another chance to look at it? So the new board will have a chance to look at it. There's nothing to be hidden. And I think about the 125 plus firemen who work for our city, many of them having been here up to 25 and 30 years, and seeing that we have delayed this even more, it's just a morale sucker to me. I think it's very important that we honor the new board members that are going to be on here. They're going to get a chance to vote on it during the second reading. But I cannot support this simply because we were educated by the chairman of public safety in detail, everything about the manufacturing, the process, how much we would save. I realize this probably won't pass in the second reading, but can't we just approve it during this first reading so that the fire department can at least feel that we support them to the nth degree? Thank you.
Alderman Hayes, thank you. Alderman Waters.
I don't know where to start on Alderman Hayes or Alderman Petrelli, but as long as I've been here, we've always had the opportunity to have a special call meeting. That's part of the chairman of a committee's job, whether it's Alderman Skidmore or Alderman Brown or whoever. It's his job to call a special call meeting. They had several months to do this. And I know it wasn't October the 25th when the chairman brought this before us that she and the chief of fire department knew about this. Now, I was born on Monday, but not yesterday, okay? Pardon me?
Go ahead, Alderman Waters.
I thought I heard somebody. Anyway, let's keep it professional, okay? But when the chairman of public safety gives us excuses why it was not brought 3 or 4 months earlier so we could have talked about it, I cannot accept that. They knew about it. I don't know what the cause was. All she had to do was call a special meeting of her committee at any time and discussed it, and then bring it to the board that next meeting. As far as the new members, I don't know how they're going to vote. I'm not here to say how they're going to vote. I'm here to present my motion as I did to defer it, and it was seconded by Alderman in 5. But that's not the point. The point is, people keep saying, we shouldn't vote on it tonight. We shouldn't vote on it tonight. Yes, we should. Let's defer it to the next meeting. And then we'll have a new board, and they'll have a chance to talk about it. They'll have a chance to review the ordinance. And it's only a fair way to do business for our city. So I still continue with my motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Waters. Alderman Robertson.
I really didn't want to get into this tonight, but it was insinuated that we need to vote for this to let the firemen show that we support them. So I've got some comments on that. By my vote tonight for this motion, I'm not abandoning my longtime support of our fire department, either now or in the future, but rather I'm supporting the budget process and fiscal discipline. I think the record speaks for itself. But let me recap the support of this board for the fire department in the past year and a half. Last year at the mid-year budget review, I supported and we approved an expenditure of $648,000 for air packs for our firefighters. By the way, this was the largest expenditure in the mid-year budget review. I supported the expenditure because I was comfortable of the urgency and the ability of the city to pay for it. Also, in the current budget, I supported the bonus of $1,000 to our first responders personnel and almost $5.3 million for the new fire station, number 7. In additional to that, an $800,000 for a new fire truck for Station 7. I supported each of these large expenditures because I had the financial data confirming that the city could afford it and still cover our other priorities. We did all these things without raising taxes, but with a lot of help from the federal government COVID money. Now, I predict this next year's budget may be perhaps the most difficult one we have faced on this since I've been on the board. I'm sure this is welcome news to the new alderman getting ready to take office. But what can we expect next year? We will need to add up to 5 new firefighters for Station 7. We will need to consider a large pay increase for our employees due to the nagging inflation pressures. Our continued investment in paving streets will be necessary. We will begin, hopefully, the construction of several capital projects with the possibility of cost overruns because of inflation. Additionally, there are so many unknowns, such as the possible state pension contribution increase due to the falling stock market, other than today, I will add. Additional funding for our police department to keep our city safe and potential lagging revenues due to the recession that we are in. We will have to make some critical priority decisions. So at this junction, in my humble perspective, there are just too many unknowns for me to approve this kind of large expenditure without seeing, as Barry Sanders said, without seeing the whole field. So I don't want it. I don't want the narrative to leave this that we're not supporting our firefighters. We have and we will continue to support them. But I just want to see the whole field at the mid-year budget review and set priorities based upon financial data and budget discipline. So that's why I will support this motion, amended motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Robertson. We have nobody else wishing to speak, so all those in favor of the motion to defer and incorporate this ordinance with the mid-year budget review, press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. In favor of deferring is the green, opposed deferring is the red. So that passes 9-4. Those opposed are Alderman Petrelli, Alderman Cunningham, Alderman Brown, Alderman Hayes. Everybody else is in favor. Next, we're on first reading of ordinance 2022-33. This is an ordinance appropriating funds for the survey of the deer population of the city of Hendersonville. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
We have a motion from Alderman Brown and a second from Alderman Robertson. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Berry, the chairman of the Deer Monitoring Committee, was here, I believe, about a month ago, and the committee had recommended that there be another survey completed to see how many deer we have in the city approximately and what the solution to some of the issues that they have caused might be. There was some discussion about there was funds left over. There might be some money. There wasn't any money. Therefore, I brought this ordinance to the Finance Committee to spend up to $7,500 for another aerial survey. The first aerial survey cost $3,000. That was back in 2015. So up to $7,500 would probably more than cover the expenditure on that. But I wanted Mr. Berry and his committee to have access to those funds when they needed them, probably in January, as normally that would be done. So that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Brown, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2022-33, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on to Resolution 2022-46. This is a resolution allowing the city to bid on hosting the 2023 and 2024 TSSAA State Cross Country Championships. Alderman Brown. We have a motion and a second from Alderman Edwards. Alderman Brown? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 2022-46, please press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on to Resolution 2022-47. This is a resolution to appeal the Hendersonville Planning Commission's decision to deny the Avenida at Indian Lake, also known as the Aldermen, the setback variance request and associated carport site plan. Alderman Peterson. I just need you to give me a motion first.
So moved.
Okay. And a second from Alderman Brown. Alderman Peterson, do you want to speak on this?
No, Mayor, but
Okay.
if there is questions, we have a representative from the property
Okay.
here, as well as Director Free, who could answer any questions from the board.
Okay. Alderman Brown.
Just to tell the board, this was discussed in general committee tonight, voted on unanimously to go ahead and pass the appeal.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Alderman Edwards.
Okay, before we vote, so if we vote yes, we're voting for the setback, the variance, we're not voting to affirm the planning commission, is that correct?
That's correct. You're
Okay.
upholding
Yes
the
is
appeal. That's correct.
Upholding the appeal, so
Yeah,
it would
which
be
means that
for
they
the
would be
variance.
able to build their
Okay,
carports.
got it, thank you.
Hold on, John. Can you explain that again? I lost you.
My understanding of this resolution is that it's an appeal of a decision of the planning commission to deny the ability to build so many carports in this new development. So if the appeal is successful, you would be overturning the planning commission.
Okay.
So if you vote in favor of the resolution, it says it's to appeal the decision to deny. I think I would make a motion. I didn't prepare this resolution, so I'm having to sort of read it as I go. I would suggest that you make a motion to reverse the planning commission and allow this plan to go through as requested, if you want to do that. That's what you're trying to do. Just so there's not any confusion about
Who
it.
made a motion?
Not enough confusion.
Okay. Alderman Peterson, do you want to do that? So the motion really would be to approve Resolution 2022-47, which would be reversing the decision of the Planning Commission. Well, they tied 4-4.
What's
They
that?
tied 4-4.
Well, it tied 4-4, it failed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's reversing the planning commission decision. They had a 4-4 vote, so it did not pass there. That's why it's here.
Okay. So Alderman Edwards, Alderman Peterson, you okay with that?
Yeah, is it possible to get further explanation from Director Free?
I think that'd be a good idea. Alderman Edwards, do you want me to come back to you, or what do you want to do?
No, I'm fine, I just make sure everybody, when they vote, they know exactly what yes is and what no is.
I
So-
didn't 2 minutes ago, but I'll repeat it in a little bit.
Okay,
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 thank
thank
you. Keith.
Yes, no, I agree with Mr. Bradley that probably making a motion to reverse the decision of the planning commission. That would probably, if you wanted to approve it, that would be the proper way to go.
Hold on one second. Let's go to Alderman Cunningham. Keith, if you could stay here with us.
Thank you, Mayor. Keith, could you share with us some of the concerns of the four members that voted against this in the planning commission?
Yes, and we discussed this in general committee. I think some of the planning commissioners that voted against it, some of the things that they expressed at the meeting were just concerned on giving a variance, even though it was a carport, that kind of holding to what that setback was, and then also maybe concerns over utilization of properties by putting structures and things on properties. And then I think the other thing was the concern for the adjacent property owner, and there was a couple things with that. I think there was a concern about that being too close to the adjacent property or that undeveloped large tract that's there, and then as well as that if they wanted to do something, then it kind of puts the burden of a bigger buffer on them. Currently, I think there's a 20-foot, actually, it's not really setback, but a 20-foot buffer that has to be on that vacant lot. But as of today, the developer did send us something from that adjacent property owner, and this is information that was not available at the planning commission meeting, that property owner supports the application for the appeal. So that is new information.
Okay, and then on the last page, it shows, what the garages look like, and then what the carport, it has those, posts there for the carport.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not quite understanding, is it gonna look like the first photo or the second photo or
let
a
me see.
combination of the both?
It should, yeah, it'll be the one, I think it's the one that's underneath this picture on your thing. And, that'll be, the whole roof structure and the eaves and the way the roof is gonna be exactly like the garages that are already out there. And then
But-
the posts are actually gonna be brick columns.
But the picture looks like garages, not carports. Not what I would.
Yeah, this is not enclosed. It's just where that, and you may have something that's just showing an example of what the garages are out there. Can you hold that up so I can see where you're looking at? There you go. Yeah,
It says garage roof shingles to be
Yeah.
used on the carport. So that
Yeah.
has nothing to do with what they're going to look like.
no, that's just the way that roof is on the garage. That's the dimensions and, the same texture that's going to be on the carports, but it's not enclosed. That's just that's just a image for reference of what the carports.
So is this
Are.
what the carports are going
Yes,
to look
ma'am.
like?
That's correct.
So it's going to look like a garage with no door.
Yeah, with no walls, just
Oh, no walls.
no walls. There won't be any walls.
So it would just be an open area.
Yeah, it'd be just
completely open, like a parking lot.
yeah, with a roof over it.
Yeah.
With brick columns supporting the roof.
And the information you got from who's the adjacent property owner?
I believe it's a credit union out of Evansville, Indiana. Is the
And this is on Sandersville. Where's this located? On Sandersville Road?
this Cinema Drive?
Right. Okay. It's
Yes.
off of Okay.
Yes. And the property owner, the adjacent property owner, I can't think of it's the road right there by Firehouse Subs.
Okay.
And in that area, it's the road that
But
comes up through there.
it's near where those two apartment complexes are.
No, it's further.
Is it on the other side?
Yeah, the vacant property.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's on the other side. If you went like, how you go into the back of Firehouse Subs,
Yes.
where Crumble Cookie and all of that.
Yes.
If you were on that road and looking at you could see that field, and you can see the back of the album that's been constructed. And back there,
Okay.
in a far distance, that's where the carports
Does
would
it
be.
butt up against the park over there?
No,
Okay.
it just butts up against future commercial office property.
And
for
how many
uses.
of these are going to be?
I think there's just two. There's
Built.
4 that's
There's-
going to be built. Two are going to be built opposite of this, actually near the building, and those meet the setbacks. What they're asking for is the 2 that are right there on the edge of the property, and so there's just 2 groupings. I think maybe 9 or 10 carport parking spaces.
Hold on 1 second. We've got a representative here of the album. Without objection, we're going to ask her to speak.
Yeah, she might.
Go
be
ahead. Identify yourself
Okay. Thank you.
and tell us your position.
Thank you.
I'm Karen Peel. I'm with Avenida Partners. I'm in the development and community launch for Avenida. So,
Can you help us? Can you clarify a little bit for us?
I'm sorry?
Can you clarify a little bit for us?
Yes, so where the two carports that we're asking for the variance, there's 2 sections. One of them will have 10 spaces and one of them will have 9 spaces. We have 2 other carports that are closer to the building that meet the that don't apply to this. So it's a total of 19 spaces that would be along that west side that butts up to the empty lot behind us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You might want to stick
You
close
answered
by.
most of my questions. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cunningham. Let's go to Alderman Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Free, question. What's the purpose of a setback? What's the objective of a setback, I should say?
I think the setback typically is to set a standard for, in this case, would be for structures, so that you don't get you have a little bit of a buffer in between properties. where you don't have structures all the way up to the property line, is what a setback is for.
So for aesthetics,
Could be aesthetics, could be in some cases, depending on elevation, could be for lighting, so it doesn't shadow an adjacent property, as far as, cast a shadow on an adjacent property for proximity. So sometimes it could be for aesthetics, but it could also just be to keep some space in between structures. In some cases, setbacks are very narrow, and others they're a little bit larger. In this case, this is a 20-foot rear yard setback in a planned development, but everybody's kind of familiar. Planned development's a lot different than straight zoning. In a planned development, there's a lot of flexibility and leeway in regards to setbacks, but it depends on the situation.
yeah, is part of the purpose public safety as well. For example, structures that are so close together are hard to fight fires, are hard to get in there if they're so close together. Is that another possible
It's possible.
purpose for setback, the need for setbacks?
It's possible that would fall into that as well.
Yeah.
In general.
So I have, I guess I'm old school, but I believe in upholding standards. I think standards are important. This board wouldn't have approved standards in codes or for whatever purpose if they weren't in the public interest. So for me to override a standard, to approve an appeal of a standard, has to have what I would deem a compelling interest. And I'm also, so I'm going to ask you about, what is the compelling interest to allow a waiver of this standard that we have on our books for this piece of property? I'm also going to ask you, would this set would this set a precedent? Yes, thank you. A precedent that the other property owners near there could say, well, you allowed this one here. We want equal treatment.
Right.
Is there a problem with precedent? The setting of precedent in allowing structures to be, within 7 feet of the property line?
Right. I think it's a situation where if you granted the variance and it's well within your authority and it was well within the authority of the Planning Commission to grant that variance, especially with it being in a planned development. But as far as setting precedent, I think it would be something where it's not so literal that, if you give a reduction of 20 foot down to a 7 foot for this carport, then anybody in town that wants to do something, to do a setback from 20 foot to 7 foot, you have to grant it. You're not held to that. I think the expectation would be if you felt that the specific situation, and all of the variables involved in this specific situation, that you granted the variance, then I would think any other situation that was very close related to that, very similar, then I would think you would want to lean toward making that same decision. It's a tough thing because, as we know, through the years, Planning Commission changes, the changes are fixing to happen to BOMA. So it's kind of can change where one board may make a decision on something and then be brought up to the next board because somebody's got exactly the same thing. I would hope that would be considered. But it doesn't necessarily always guarantee that. But then to answer your other question, I think the things, if you're wanting to grant the variance, I think looking at it from the standpoint of the parking is already there, so they're not putting the carport somewhere and then putting the parking there. The parking's already there, and it's okay for the parking to be there. This is looking at something that's not enclosed and not a garage, so it is open air. So some of those things, it might be safety or visual things, that kind of diminishes that a little bit of what those concerns may be as well. And then you still have the 7-foot requirement for the landscaping that's around the parking. That's still there. So that isn't being, diminished or going away with it as well. So does that kind of answer some of those things, Alderman?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of reasons why I voted for the high density apartments over by Hobby Lobby.
Yes, sir.
Some of the reasons were the variances they were asking from our standards. I think one of the reasons why Indian Lake has been so successful is because of the standards that were adopted by this board way back. And I think starting to chip away at those variances, with all due respect to the property owner, with all starting to chip away more and more at those standards, run a risk of changing the character of the Indian Lake Village. I've thought long and hard about this. I mean, it'd be real easy just to vote yes, but I'm trying to, as a chess player, look at 4 or 5 steps, jumps down the road, and I'm afraid the precedent that this would set. So I'm really struggling, with overturning the planning commission's vote on this.
I understand.
Now they are going to build some garages in other parts of the property that they don't have to request this variance. Is that correct?
Yeah, they've already built all of the garages, have already been built. And then did we build the carports on the other side too? Yeah. So they've got carports that they're going to build that are opposite of this, that aren't near the property line. They're going to build those. So those have already been, all of those have already been constructed. And then this is just something, it would have been nice if it was a part of the original site plan and just got approved as a part of that, which it could have, got approved of that. But this is something I think was kind of after, they had it well under construction or completed, then realized, wow, we'd really, the tenants, could really use more covered parking. And I think that's, the developer can speak to that, but that's my understanding.
Yeah.
Of what
May
you're
I
doing.
ask the developer a question then?
Okay.
Thank you, Keith. You've heard my comments.
I have.
So convince me that that there is a compelling interest for us to waive our standards in this successful business park that the city has.
Sure. Our community is, it's an active adult community, so it's geared towards 55 and better. Our medium age is probably 70. Our residents are more in the 70. Someone younger could live there. One of our goals is to provide the best amenities. Most of our residents are downsizing, maybe moving closer to family, grandchildren, maybe they've lost a loved one. So they're moving to our property. And our goal is always to provide the best that we can for them. We do have garages. We have 25 garages. Our community is comprised of 138 apartment units. We call them homes. And then we have our 7,000 square foot amenity home. So these carports it's really something additional that we have a lot of residents there maybe on a fixed budget, but they'd still like to put their car someplace safe. When they get home and they get out and it's raining or it's cold, whatever the elements are outside, it's nice to be able to get out, grab their things, not be in the openness. And so we're just trying to provide them that extra space, something that works for, some additional residents. We also provided, when we started this, designing this, the Indian Lake Master Association didn't like our first design. And so we went back and redesigned it so that it does look very similar, as you were saying, to the garages. The roof style, the pitch, everything. We totally designed it because we understand aesthetics is very important to us. I think if you see our building, you'll kind of understand that. So, making it have the right look so it fits and it has the right feeling, and the Master Association approved it. They came back and said, love the new design. We didn't like the first one, but we love this and we totally approve it. So we feel like we've kind of gained their support, as well as when we recently found out the land behind us was sold to the Liberty Federal Credit Union. We reached out to them talking about the variance and said, this is where we're at. We definitely want your support. You're our neighbor. We're not changing, we're not modifying any landscaping. Our landscaping will stay the same. But we're going to be encroaching slightly on that variance, and they're in total support of it. So that's really why we felt like we needed to come back and better explain to all of you what our goal is. It's just another, amenity to our residents to help them live their best life in our community, feel like their cars are out of the rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is, for their benefit. We do have garages. They lease up very quickly. They go quickly. So this was just another touch point that we could provide to them.
So I guess these garages will be rented, so they'll pay a
Yes.
premium price for a garage and a carport.
Yes.
So
yes,
this
sir.
would be extra revenue for the
It is.
developer
It's minimal. It's $50 a carport. So,
a month.
but yes, it is. I mean, compared to what you'll see in other locations, I mean, it's, the revenue is not really yes, does it help? Of course it does.
Yeah.
We'd be silly to say it doesn't, but that's not our goal. It really is, what else can we provide to our residents? They entrust coming and living with us, and we want to just give them, everything we possibly can.
Do we have a letter from the adjacent property?
I do. I have it right here.
May I see it, if that's okay, Mayor?
Sure.
And then, I guess the last question, if your request for variance is refused, do you still plan to build these and then just maybe back further and take up some parking spots? Are you intending to move forward with this even if the variance is not approved on other parts of the property?
We will move forward with the others. Probably, it makes more economical sense for us to build all of them, to just provide 10. Not that we wouldn't do it, but it is a big expense to just do 10. So that's why we'd like to maximize, as many as we possibly can. Like I said, and like he said, the spaces are there. It's just building, the actual carport structure over them.
Alderman Roberts, anything else?
I've talked enough.
Alderman Hayes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your also speaking to us at the general committee. So there's no doors, there's no walls. It's just the concrete or brick support beams. And it is a nice facility. And this is going to be built over 19 current parking spaces.
That's correct.
And how many feet is it over that variance, approximately?
It's 20 and we're going to a 7.
Okay. So I've had a lot more interest in this, especially because some constituents reached out to us even before the album was completely built, and they were interested in having carports, just a place where they could pull their car under, keep it from being so hot in the summer, and protection from the rain and weather. So for that reason, I'm very supportive of this. I have been out there and looked at the property. I'm grateful for the adjacent property owner to say it's okay with them. This is part of a PUD, and so I think that any other developments that do develop back there, I'm sure they will like the aesthetic effects that y'all currently have. It is just a beautiful building. All the garages, everything's kept up. I appreciate so much, and you're building this in Ward 5, and the general committee was trying to get me to sign up to be in this independent living. I'm not quite ready for that. But when I do move over there, I would like to have a carport. So I think I can support this.
Come on over.
Alderman Hayes, thank you. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor.
One other thing.
Hold on. We're going to go to Alderman Waters. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Mayor. Keith, can I ask you a question? I've never voted against the planning. As we talked in general tonight, the committee, we got a tie 4-4 for it, 4 against it. That's unusual, I'm sure. That's why we're here tonight. Is it ethical for you to tell the board, the 4 that voted against it, what was their reason, or are you allowed to do that? Is it?
I think just pretty much the discussion was what I discussed a little bit earlier. Just
I couldn't hear you because my ears
that's
wasn't
okay.
working.
We shared this a little bit earlier, but it basically was concern about the adjacent property owner and being in proximity to that adjacent property owner that now they have the letter from. And then also, if the adjacent property owner wanted to do something similar, does it set a precedent, as we kind of talked about a while ago? And then also just concern over general, not just this site, but general overutilization of property, where you're kind of maxing out the use of property. So I think that was the main concerns that were addressed. And I might just mention, I gave her some bad information a while ago. That setback is a 25-foot setback, not a 20-foot. So that's my
That's
fault.
about the same
I
thing
should
we
have-
covered in general, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay,
sir.
thank you,
Okay,
Keith. Thank
thank
you,
you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Waters. Let's go to Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you very much. Now, let's get this straight. We want to make sure that, we're all comparing apples to oranges and that good. So there's going to be 19 sections for the carport for our 19 vehicles. Is that right? Instead of 8? Because I heard 8 and 19. I'm going like, that's a big difference, 8 and 19 for
There's
vehicles.
one grouping that would all be under one roof.
Right.
That'll have 10, and then there'll be another one that's not right up against it, but I think there's some space in between it.
All right.
And then that one will have 9 spaces.
Okay, so.
One's 10 and one's 9, but they're just two groupings of roof-covered carports.
So it'll be covered, it'll have the roof there.
Yes, sir.
And they'll have a little section where they can drive their
That's
vehicle
right.
in there, but it will not have a garage door
No.
there. My only concern on that is, and I would have had a concern at the planning level on this, and I don't even know if it was even addressed, but it would be the safety. Sometimes in Hendersonville, you drive in, unfortunately, I mean, this could happen anywhere, but in Hendersonville, you drive in there, is there a light underneath so they can turn the light on? Do they have a
Yeah, I believe it is. It is lit. You got a fence behind there too, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
so there's a fence behind it. Where
Right.
the spaces would be, and there are lights under all the carports, and they stay lit. And that's another, what I was gonna mention a while ago, we kind of feel like it's an extra bit of safety, is that light is on, it's on a photocell, so at night it is all lit up back there. Whereas without the carports, we do have the pole lights, spread out, but this is like some added light and security underneath the carport.
Well, I know regardless of whether this passes or not, but I'm gonna just talk about the carports as a whole. And of course, it's like a suggestion, what's the old saying, everybody's got one? But my suggestion would be, if there's not any cameras, that might be something to set up, because someone easily could, and I don't even know if this has happened. Somebody could easily be in one of those things and just sit there and wait for whomever's coming in there. And even if you've got a light and you're not expecting it, you could be looking for something, because God knows that when I drive into my own driveway, I've been known to look and not pay attention, because you're so used to going into where you're going to park, that someone could come right up and there could be a misfortune there. And I hope that prays and never happens to anyone there. But I was just wondering whether has anything like that ever happened?
No,
and
sir, not at any of our other properties, and these are all open. So there's no walls, there's no front end wall, there's no head end wall, there's no garage door behind. It's all 4 sides are open.
Right, I understand.
Just the roof.
Yeah, okay. You've answered my question, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Keith, on that. And
Alderman-
thank you, ma'am.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Edwards.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So, I guess the only, negative aesthetic part of it, it could make it look more cluttered, the city more cluttered, but you said this is on Cinema Drive?
The front of our building is on Cinema, and then this is actually, so we face east, and this is actually on the west side.
Okay, and Cinema, it's a side road from Saundersville Road, is
Yes,
that
sir.
right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are these even visible from Cinema Road, Cinema Drive?
No, they aren't. You
All
can actually, you kind of see there, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I have, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Edwards, thank you. Let's go to Alderman Dixon.
I originally hit my button to clarify that it was 25 feet
Gotcha.
and not 20. But I do have a question for Ms. Peel, if you could.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I think you said in general committee tonight that you're only about 40% full with these.
We are. So our community is made up of 138 apartment homes, and we're, I think, at 42% occupied right now.
And so when did you start moving in? How new is this property?
We actually got our TCO in August 8th. So that's when we started moving residents in on August 8th. So we've got residents
So
occupying the building.
This really could have been part of your planned community in hindsight, right? To add these carports.
Our goal originally was, when we first started this process, was to have it built before we got our TCO.
Well, I too am concerned about setting a precedence and not upholding our standards that we have for our property off Indian Lake. And being very risk averse, I don't think I'm going to support this. So.
Alderman Dixon, thank you. Alderman Brown.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't, just to clarify, and I think that's already been said once when I pressed my button, this was a 4-4 vote. The reason this is here is we're the tiebreakers, is what it boils down to. It's, some were for it, some were against it, but there had one member missing, so. But it's been good conversation. I'll support it. If my mother was there, or Mr. Hayes was over there, I would like him to be able to get out of the weather if he needs to, and or Ms. Cunningham. So I think it's a good idea. I'm sure the way the rest of the place looks, these carports will look classy and fit right in well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of Ms. Cunningham, Alderman Cunningham, go ahead. Thank you, Alderman Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Jamie Cleary. Okay, I just want to review. The Indian Lake, the HOA have approved it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your neighbors adjacent to you have approved it based on the letter we
Correct.
just passed
Yes, ma'am.
around, okay? Half of the planning commission approved it. And the green space will still be preserved as is, right? We're not taking away any green space.
That is correct.
Okay, and the, if you don't put this there, it's still gonna be parking spaces there,
Yes, ma'am, which are there.
okay, which are there now.
Mhm.
So whether it's uncovered, so there'll be either uncovered parking spaces or covered parking spaces, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and then, the big thing is that the neighbor likes it. That's a biggie for me,
Yes.
because I remember when my father built his house, he needed a variance to do that. He went to all of the neighbors for them to sign off on the variance because of setbacks and the size of the width of the lot at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and showed them the plans and explained to them, and they unanimously 100% approved it. So it was easy for him to get that when he built his house in 1950. So that means a lot to me with the neighbors. So I'm going to approve this. I mean, not approve it, support it. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, I approved this in Planning Commission. We did review this to an extent, and I move for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson. We have nobody else wishing to speak? All those in favor, let me read really what the enactment is. This helps us explain it. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, that the attached variance request and associated site plan is hereby approved. I think that if you vote yes, then you're voting to allow them to do what they want to do. If you vote no, you're voting to not allow them. That's a good way to describe it.
That's correct.
Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 2022-47, please press your green button. Those opposed, press the red one. Listen, Alderman Cunningham. That passes 9-4. Let me read this real quick, Jason. Those opposed are Alderman Skidmore, Alderman Dixon, Alderman Waters, and Alderman Robertson. Do y'all want to take a break? We're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay. You okay? Okay. Thank you. That passes with a majority vote. Reports, brief committee reports. Chairman Brown, General Committee. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. We just voted on our general committee and passed it unanimously in committee and 9-4 here at the board level. Thank you. Congratulations.
Chairman Brown, thank you. Chairman Petrelli, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. Public safety did not meet. I just want to thank both of our chiefs and both of our public safety departments for all the hard work in our city. You guys are relentless in your pursuit of protection in our city, and I'm honored to have worked with you all. I'm honored to have served on this board, and thank you all.
Chairman Petrelli, thank you. Planning Commission, Alderman Peterson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And, excuse me, I apologize. I did not send the meeting highlights after our meeting, and I apologize for that. However, I would like to request that Keith Free address this board with our meeting highlights. Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Alderman. Yeah, this will be short and sweet. We approved Durham Farms, 2 phases out of Durham Farm for final plat amendments. Also approved Raising Cane's site plan that'll be replacing the existing Mexican restaurant that's at the corner of West Main Street and Indian Lake Boulevard. And then also approved a setback waiver reduction for a final plat amendment on Holiday Heights at 109 Holiday Heights, Lot 7, 109 Ruby Drive. Also, I might mention the Planning Commission will be having a work session next Tuesday, the 15th at 6:30. I think it's bookended by some things that BOMA's going to be doing, and we're going to be having a work session and for the Planning Commissioners to talk and give some direction to staff on our Westlake plan. And I believe a lot of the existing and future BOMA members might be there, and so the opportunity to kind of see that process. And that's everything that I had.
Keith, thank you. Alderman Peterson,
Thank you.
anything else?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Let's hear from our COO, Jesse.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to mention that Dallas Long, he is our Assistant Parks Director. He's going to be recognized by the State's Park Association as the Tennessee Young Professional of the Year. So he goes to a conference in Gatlinburg, I believe, next week. And then Trevor Cole, who serves in our Parks Department as well, is being recognized for his certificates that he holds for playground equipment. So that's significant for them. And I think there's a total of 4 projects that our city has up for possibility of award. So we'll hear more about those, but just a shout out to our Parks Department for Mr. Dallas Long and Mr. Cole. Some of you have gotten an email about cybersecurity training, and some of you may get an email pretty soon about cybersecurity training. The city is launching a program where we are going to send emails and training to anyone who has an email account. A lot of cities and municipalities and agencies get hacked through people clicking on links. So it's something that Mayor Clary has asked us to be proactive with. So y'all might see some emails come to you where you're going to have to participate in cybersecurity training, and if you don't, your email account will be shut off. So I don't know that that's going to happen for anytime soon, but we're going to take the training very seriously, so you'll get some announcements about that. November 15th, Mr. Free mentioned that we're going to have a program here, a workshop that will, the Westlake redevelopment plan, which will be bookended with an introduction to BOMA. So all the new BOMA members, we welcome you to come out, and we'll have an introductory packet, and we'll have some information for you at that meeting. The city currently has 10 active recruitments going on. So between police, parks, public works, and finance, we're hiring in all those departments. Please continue to let people know, push them to our website. So all those announcements are on our website. And then Most importantly, I want to thank the outgoing Bowman members. I want to thank Mr. John Bradley, our city attorney. And I don't want to thank you as an employee of the city, but I want to thank you as a resident. My family and I love living here. The contribution that Bowman members make to the community does not go unnoticed. I know it's a lot of work on your behalf to be here and serve year after year. But because of that, it's a place that many people who already live here they love, and people who are looking to move here, is going to be a place they love too. So thank you for doing that. It's been an adventure to work here, and it has been an honor to work alongside you. And thank you for your work and dedication to the city. I hope that we can make you proud and continue to build upon the foundation that you have established here in the city. So thank you very much, and I look forward to our event on the 17th. That concludes my report.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. One of those outgoing aldermen has a question for you. Alderman Brown.
Be me. You got a report on the tower going up by the fire hall?
Yeah,
I know
so-
that's a on-the-spot question, but
No, I did get a report. I got an update probably a week ago from the government affairs manager, Mr. Philip Brown. They are still trying to work with NES, I believe, to get a transformer. So I think they're shooting for December to have it done. And they want to have the new tower active so that they don't have a week or 2 week delay when they pull the old tower down. So I don't know exactly how they're working it out with the school, but the existing tower is going to be up, it's my understanding, until the new tower is complete.
so it is active. The old tower behind the school is still
Yes, sir.
operational. Okay. I was gonna say, I've had a couple questions, but I haven't anybody complained about their Wi-Fi. Thank you.
Alderman Brown, thank you. You've got my report. Thank you, Jesse. You've got my report in your packet. Mr. Bradley, do you have anything to add?
I'd just like to say that after 35 years and 9 months, it was February 10th, 1987, when I became city attorney. Ronald Reagan was president. Just to give you some context. It's been a while, but it's certainly been an honor and a privilege to serve this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Hayes, would you wish to make a motion to adjourn?
I would. Let's adjourn.
Alderman Brown, a second. All those in favor, please press your green button. Those opposed, press your red one.
Thank you, Mayor.
Who we missing?
Hit my
Who we missing? Alderman Robertson. Eddie, we need you to vote. Alderman Robertson, we need you to vote.
Push the green button, Eddie.
I think that's it. No, it's me. That passes unanimously.